for him to sit. Okay, we're ready whenever
Okay,
you
no
want.
audio in the back whatsoever.
All right. Why don't we begin by you telling us your name and that you agreed to do this interview.
Okay, my name is...
Generally, don't cover your mouth.
Okay.
You can play with your hands. You want to be natural.
Right.
But don't cover your mouth.
Okay, can I smile?
Well,
You can do it.
but all right, tell us your name and that you've agreed to do the interview, and we'll get going.
My name is Meshach Silas. I was born Frederick Finley, and my name, chosen name, Meshach Silas. Frederick Meshach Silas Finley.
Okay. What does the name Meshach mean? Does it mean anything?
Well, and to my knowledge, in the Hebrew language, it means one who loves God.
Are you of Jewish heritage or?
Well, how they say, Judaism or whatever. I believe in the folklore. I like to put it like that of Moses, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israelite faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed that now they call it the African American Hebrews.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it called that, but I definitely believe in the doctrine of Moses and Abraham.
Are you a religious person, and what faith do you follow?
I'm a religious person, and I follow the Hebrew Israelite faith to the best of my ability.
And your family is Hebrew Israel?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been following that faith?
Well, actually, starting from the straight up Christian religion with my family is here recent over the past maybe 10 years that my entire family has, in terms of my mother and sisters and that type of thing, brothers, have become involved in the African American Hebrew Israelite faith.
It seems to me that a lot of African Americans have become Muslims, and that seems to be more popular.
Mm-hmm.
So how did it happen that you chose to be of Hebrew faith?
Well, like I said, I grew up in church because I grew up with my grandparents as well as my mother. It was just so I grew up playing drums in church actually, and going to church every day. Every Sunday, and to Bible school and that type of thing, and just studying the Christian faith. I started to have some questions myself about particular things. I don't know if it was just from hearing things about the Israelites and Egypt. Usually it's related to in the news and that type of thing as the Middle East. I never knew that Egypt and those places like that when I was a young guy. I didn't know that they were in Africa. So just getting into feeling the energy of the drum and knowing that drums are from Africa and that type of thing, getting into that, I started asking questions about it to the ministers and deacons of my church and that type of thing. And when they didn't have those answers for me, I got involved with studying with, what was it? It was the Institute of Metaphysical Research. Can we stop right there?
Sure. Yeah, we can stop anytime.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Just one more question on this religious stuff. As you know, in general, the Jews and the Muslims have not gotten along.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly over in the Middle East and elsewhere in the world as well. Is that also true of the African Americans who are Jewish and Muslims?
At this point, I don't think so, because you have African Americans that are Muslim that are here, following the faith through Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Farrakhan, Minister Farrakhan, as well as Brother Bowie for the Hebrew Israelites, African American Hebrew Israelites, and Ben Ami, right? People like that. And I've never heard any discord between them. At this point, I haven't. My thing is that I just don't profess, you know, who's right and who's wrong and that type of thing. I don't go that far. And like I said, I've never really heard of any discord between them. It's always been a unity type thing. I know you heard of the Million Man March and different things like that. Just because of what black people need in terms of getting our lives back together after the psychic trauma of from slavery through just Jim Crow period, the whole bit that black people have gone through. There hasn't been any room for that, really, for discord. The main thing that both religions or faith believe in God, right, or a way of God, and that at this point has to suffice because as far as that, we even still have some bigger issues to take care of as a people by coming here as slaves, that type of thing. And like what I mentioned earlier a second ago, the psychic trauma that comes from that, right? Because a lot of black people are off center or off square, not because they're just nuts. It's just the psychic trauma. And if it's religion we need any religion, right? Be it Allah, be it Yahweh, be it Elohim, be it Krishna, Buddha, whoever it is, right?
Right. As you know, we're doing this interview for a documentary on Funkadesi.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts on what is the main story behind Funkadesi that should come out in this documentary? Or what would you like to see in a documentary on Funkadesi?
Are you in a way asking me what do I like about Funkadesi?
Not right now. We'll get to that. But,
Okay.
What I'm asking is, at some point we'll be doing a documentary, and I just want your ideas. This is not necessarily for the footage for the documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just interested if you have any thoughts on what is the main story behind Funkadesi that should come out in this documentary.
Bringing all the different we need to bring all of the different ethnic groups of people together, whatever background that we're from, and musically blend, right? Because 4/4 is 4/4 in whatever country, language, ethnic group of people, race of people, and the 6/8 is the same thing. It's just different styles, different instruments that have developed over the centuries or the time, and really bringing the people together and being able to blend the music together. James Brown style, Punjabi style, ska or reggae, straight up reggae style, or straight up African music together. The secular music and the sacred musics, everything blending together. That's really what I want to see out of it.
Okay, tell us about how you first found out about Funkadesi and how you happened to join Funkadesi.
First found out about Funkadesi. My group, Minianka African Drum and Dance Ensemble, we were doing a performance in Chicago, and it was at the Harold Washington College, downtown Chicago. And Rahul, I can't remember the exact name of the organization that he was involved with, but they were having a presentation during Black History Month, right? And after the performance, I was performing with Steve and Shabanduka Cobb, and they have an album out about the 7 principles of the Nguzu Saba, right? The 7 principles of the Nguzu Saba. And after the performance, I was getting dressed, and someone called me and told me that someone wanted to meet me outside, and it was Rahul Sharma. And he was telling me about a group that he was developing called Funkadesi. He kind of patterned the name after Funkadelic, but what he really wanted to do was bring world-class musicians together from different ethnic groups and develop this group called Funkadesi and record, be a recording band and touring band and that type of thing. And he asked me if I would be a part of it because he dug the fact that I was playing traditional drums from West Africa, and I was playing the conventional drums right here from, from America. I was playing trap drums also with the band, and I was playing percussion, meaning, congas and bells and that type of thing. I was playing all of the different styles of percussion, and that's the type of drummer he said that he wanted, Rahul Sharma. That's the type of drummer he wanted. He asked me if I was interested in being a part of his group, and I told him yes.
What was Funkadesi like at the time when you first joined?
It was like 4 or 5 people who hadn't really met each other yet. But even the few people that he had already pulled together, they were good people, and they were good artists. Bayard, Carlos, there was another brother from Trinidad. I can't call his name right now. But as well as Redica, who hadn't been to rehearsal yet, for me or the other singer to meet. What I did was I had a notion in my mind when he asked me about it, because he said he was looking for a singer, and I told him that I knew a singer, and it was actually the person that was performing with us that particular day, Velroy Dawkins. And I pulled Velroy and told him to come with me.
What do you think is Funkadesi's main appeal?
Funkadesi's main appeal is the variation of artists playing. It's the same music, but different styles of musics from different ethnic backgrounds that are they blend together, but they show the oneness of it, because the appeal adds up to, the equation I just gave, it adds up to dance music, feel good music. Everything is not right, but with right and a little wrong that's blended together, it makes for a nice blend. And I see that the people really appreciate it.
Give us a little bit of an idea of how you make the kind of music you
make. Okay. Example of how we make the music that we make and develop. Blending, I might take a Malinke rhythm, and it might be played on the djembe and the dundun by orchestra with balafon and kora and that type of thing. But what I'll do is I'll take that music and I'll transpose it to the trap drums, right? And then Rahul will since we have the bass drum that's on the traps, he might pattern his bass line after that. For the vocals might pull. Am I saying it right? And a lop, right, from the Indian culture, and she might, in this case, Rudika, might blend that with the rhythm that I'm playing. Carlos, who's from Puerto Rico, he'll come and he'll give a nice Latin rhythm that blends with that, right? It could be bomba, play night, any one of the other rhythms, merengue or anything like that, and he'll blend that. He'll catch that inside, and with all those different styles blending together, we create the music. From there, we start forming chords and changes and bridges and vamps and different things like that, and we have a song.
Where do you get your main inspiration?
God, the one, I guess.
Who has influenced you the most
Who has influenced me the most?
musically?
Musically? Whoa. I'm from Louisville, Mississippi. I'm from Louisville, Mississippi. I was born in Hardtime, Mississippi. And the things that I know about, I really have no business knowing about at my age, but I actually had an opportunity to live through it and be a part of segregation and that type of thing, white hatred and all those type of things to black people, dark people, colored people, however they want to put it. And people like Little Milton, this is a blues artist, B.B. King, Albert King, just different blues artists, church, right? I grew up in church. Like I said, I've been in church all my life, much more then than now, and that whole thing just inspires me musically. I have a lot of the things that I play or that I'm interested in or feel the way I do about them is basically from my southern, upbringing and musical, being exposed to music through the South.
Do you have a favorite number in Funkadesi's repertoire?
Longa Vacha.
Okay, phrase that as a complete sentence and then
Oh, you did say that.
Tell us
The favorite.
why,
Okay.
and tell us why.
You said, do I have a favorite song in a selection in Funkadesi that I really like or admire? My favorite is Longa Vacha. Why? Because for some reason, Longa Vacha is the most African tune that we have. The most bluesy and rhythmic tune, one of the most. But I just really enjoy the Longa Vacha tune because it blends all of the different rhythmic styles from Africa, from like I said, when blues and that type of thing from Mississippi. It has all that rhythmic feel in it. It has all that gospel kind of spiritual feeling about it. That it's more of a chant and a praise song, right? For God, nature, or however we put it. The song, it touches me like that when we play it.
What is the song about?
I can't tell you exactly what Longa Vacha is about. I know it's one of the Hindi film, a score for one of the films, and it's a popular song in India. But I don't necessarily know what it's about. But just the feeling of the rhythm in the song is it touches me. Just like gospel music or straight up African drumming or anything like that.
Do you remember how that song evolved?
Yes, with Rudika performing the tune, we were. Let me put it like this: the Longovacha tune developed by us, maybe rehearsing it a couple of times, but the main energy came from the tune at our first performance at the Heartland Cafe, right? Funkadesi as a group, and Rudika and Velroy, they had basically just met, basically on stage, because there was never time for us all to rehearse together, and the tune it just took off from there.
Tell us how the number Mash It Up evolved.
The tune Mash It Up. Um, Velroy keeps the tune Mash It Up evolved from Velroy Dawkins, lead singer of Funkadesi. Velroy keeps a book or two or three of songs that he's been studying between himself or developing between himself and his cousin. And Rahul Sharma, the bass player and leader of the band, sometimes he'll ask for different tunes, because the band might want to play different styles of tunes or different tunes, and he asked Velroy for another tune. And what Velroy does, Rahul will start a rhythm on bass or whatever, and Velroy will look in his book, right, and try to grab lyrics or words that he might make up on the spot, or words that might be from years. And what he'll do is he'll try to blend those words or those lyrics with the music that Rahul is playing, or it could be any of the other musicians, Maninder, Inder, any of us that's playing different rhythms or tunes on keyboard or guitar with Abdul, and Velroy try to blend something that'll kind of flow with the tune, as long as it's positive.
Tell us what a typical rehearsal is like.
A typical rehearsal at Funkadesi is trying to get through the 30-song repertoire and starting from the first song and just going all the way through. And at some point, which is very, 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 very good, that Rahul wants some type of creative time where we'll just start playing a tune. And a lot of times, another tune is created by taking some time out and just playing, just vibing, just creating a tune.
Are you currently working on any new number?
Actually, yes. It's an old number, but it's actually still a new number. We don't have a name for it yet, but we do have a new tune that we're working on. One thing that I do really like about Funkadesi, we're always working on a new tune. We're always working on a new tune, be it created at that point, or something, like I said, it could be an old tune that we just never had time to really get to. We've worked on it from time to time, but we just hadn't been able to get to it and really deal with it.
Tell us what it's like to be in a band and what kind of lifestyle you live.
A band is a family-oriented situation. You said tell you what it might be like to be in a band.
What kind of lifestyle?
What type of lifestyle? Well, like I said, it's more family oriented. We have to stick with each other, call and check up on each other when we're not together, have each other's back, because in a band, the lifestyle of a band in particular, unless you're successful, you're not financially, like, of course, you're not financially well off. So you have to really, hang in there. You have to do other projects and other things and that type of thing. So you're able to maintain your status inside of a band. Um, I have a lot of other projects and things that I do. It all helps me maintain my status in the band.
What is it like working with other ethnic groups, members of other ethnic groups?
Um, Working with other ethnic groups and other band members is educational because you get a chance to check out other cultures. In this particular case for Funkadesi, we're able to study the other cultures because we have the Jamaican culture, we have the Latin culture or the Puerto Rican culture, we have the Indian culture. Um, from me, we have the Mississippi culture because Mississippi has its own culture. Sometimes it's not much of a happy culture, but it's very informative and it's very educational.
What ethnic group has influenced you the most?
What ethnic group has influenced me the most? Can I say mine?
Sure. Okay.
uh, I think mine has because I think my culture has influenced me the most because we have the highest mountains to climb. Coming from Mississippi, we have the highest mountain to climb. Not saying that the other cultures don't have mountains to climb, but the Mississippi culture, that psychic trauma from Mississippi can really be something to really overcome. So your children, so you're not bitter, right? Well, first of all, your parents are not bitter. That they still are loving, kind people. That you're a loving, kind person, and that your children are, and that they surround themselves with, loving and kind people. Um, but I would like to say that I think that my Mississippi culture has influenced me the most because so much of the music and that type of thing, everything from funk, R&B, blues, jazz, right, is come from the Mississippi, Louisiana culture. And I've been fortunate where both of my parents come from the Mississippi and the Louisiana culture.
This trauma that you talk about, what has caused it?
Well, what has caused the trauma? Um, Living in Mississippi and being a young man from my mother born from sharecroppers, um, white people with their, stake in the American uh, pie or whatever, how you want to put it, and just how they treated people, just how they treated black people, just how they treated Indians. I grew up around the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Indians and that type of thing, which weren't many because of what happened to them, and that type of thing. But I knew from a young age that it wasn't just black people, right? Or colored people, as they say. Um,
What do you think can be done about it? What's happened has happened, okay, but now what can we do about it?
Well, what we can do about that is the very thing that we're doing right now. We're bringing all of these different cultures and musics together because there's one European Christian, she's in the band, and it gives me, besides the other things in life that I've experienced with white people and that type of thing, and I've gotten over it to a degree, uh, but getting a chance to, play music, travel, work, brainstorm, develop certain things together, and it breaks down all those barriers.
Is racism an issue for you right now?
Is racism an issue for me right now? To a degree, I think, because it still exists. But I'm not racist myself. I'm a little bit prejudiced, right? Until I meet you, find out, talk with you, relate to you, that type of thing, and find out where you are, because that's just the way I came up. It's not that I'm racist. I don't like white people, and I wouldn't dare say anything crazy like that, because that has nothing to do with my life. That's why I'm with a band like Funkadesi, because I love people, and I can relate to anybody. But certain things in life have taught me that you really, in my case, in our black people's case, and in my case, you really have to kind of scan the people, that you relate to. And I know black people can be a little bit crazy, but like I say, I always blame that on psychic trauma. And maybe that's turning into a little bit of an excuse, or something to hide behind, but it's for a reason. It's going to take a minute to get rid of that little niche that's in the black culture and the black, customs, how we deal with things.
As you know, some people have argued for reparations for historic injustices. Do you have a position on that?
Yes, repair through education and different things like that, through business and that type of thing. Don't give us money.
Why not?
We're going to blow it, basically. Majority of the people, mostly, will probably just blow it. But, things through like the things that we're doing, I consider what we're doing, even, like I say, with Funkadesi, I consider what we're doing more of edutainment than just entertainment. That's just something, a little thing that I have myself. It has to have something to do with re-educating and kind of redoing what's been happening over the years. I think that has a big part in it, the re-educating and putting monies into black business and that type of thing like that, where we'll develop ourselves in a better way. But not, I don't think that we should, reparations should come through money.
By the way, I agree with you on those positions.
Okay.
It makes sense.
Thank you.
How integrated would you say is the band?
I say totally integrated.
Okay. How integrated is Chicago?
How integrated is Chicago? It's not that integrated. It's not that integrated. I mean, I think the people see now, it's going to probably take another good 40, 50 years, right? This very house that we're in right now, you couldn't come here 30 years ago. The white folks that was living in this house, oh no. You couldn't come here 30, 40 years ago. You couldn't come across Ashland. You couldn't come across Ashland. Am I saying that right? About 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. What is this neighborhood called?
Inglewood. The very downtrodden, highest murder rate or whatever rate of this and that. At one time, when white folks were here, it was not just walking down the street in Inglewood, black folks. That wasn't happening.
consider this to be your neighborhood?
Well, yes, by virtue of the fact, when my mother came from Mississippi and came to Chicago, she moved on South Ellis first, about 64th and Ellis. They came, her and some of my aunties and cousins and that type of thing. They decided they had had enough of Mississippi, right? And this was in the early 60s, about 62, 63. I just spoke with my mother about these things. And they kind of had enough of Mississippi. They had enough of white folks, right? Not the people, totally, right? But what was happening, and everybody knows what was happening. 'Cause like I said, we're not much of racist people, you know what I'm saying? But we get a little bit prejudiced because of the way we've been treated. But when they moved here, she moved to Ellis first on 64th, if I'm not mistaken. And then my mother, she moved into Stateway Gardens, into the projects. That's right on 35th in State, right? And she worked for years. When I was in 6th grade, she moved here in Inglewood, 3 blocks from here, where my house is right now. She moved over. She got her first house, and I was 13. I have a picture with my mother and the rest of the family all gathered around her. I was 13. I think it was the year that we moved in, right? Or right after that year. I may have been 14 on my way. So I could say this is between Mississippi and Chicago here. I would say Inglewood is my neighborhood because for some odd reason, 5 years ago, I ended up moving right back here in this neighborhood. And now my son is being raised right here, and my daughter.
What does Englewood being your neighborhood mean to you? What kinds of things do you do in the neighborhood?
Well, my neighborhood, trying to keep the neighborhood clean of drug dealers, liquor stores and all that type of thing, just trying to keep, because a lot of the houses are nice, and in the 80s, the 70s or the 80s, I think that the people took better care because it was so hard for those parents to come buy those houses. It was harder because, like I said, you couldn't really buy a house. I mean, you got so much opposition at first. But after that little line was broke, people like my mother and different people like that, after they had paid their dues in Stateway Gardens and the projects and that type of thing, and they got their houses, I mean, they moved up, I guess, kind of like the Jeffersons moving on up a little bit, right? It kind of broke the line. I think that the younger people now, excuse me, they don't look at it like our parents did when they were able to make that move and move out of the projects and move into a home and own their own home. I don't think they really look at it like that. I don't think.
How do they look at it?
Just it's the new era. It's just the new era right now, and everything from radio, TV, not necessarily newspapers, but just magazines, right? That's just the culture of the young people now, and how they look at things. A kind of a non-careish attitude. They love money, but they don't want to work for it, right? Those two have nothing in common, working for the money and having the money. They love the money, and by any means necessary will get the money, right? And a lot of times that disturbs the young people who do have focus and understand the premise of money and economics and responsibility and all that type of thing. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but.
Getting back to Funkadesi, I think you said that the band is very integrated and that racism and so on are not issues for the band members.
Right.
Are there any issues for Funkadesi? Is gender an issue, for example?
No. Matter of fact, I wish there were two females in the band. I don't think gender is an issue. I would really like at least two females in the band.
What about whites? How would you feel about more whites on the band?
Whites. I don't mind. As long as you're a bad musician, you're a fat musician, I don't care if you was green. You should be a member of Funkadesi.
In the past, have there been any issues for Funkadesi that you guys have had to deal with of any type?
Just the money issue comes up because it takes a lot of time and effort to build what we're doing. And the only way you're going to execute a beautiful tune and that type of thing is give it time. Excuse me, you give it time. And a lot of times, okay, they say time is money, and a lot of times, time, you can be losing money, right? When you put your effort and energy and you're at a particular place rehearsing all day, something has to come out of it because all of the artists and members in Funkadesi are grown men and women, right? And you have to be some, other than the joy and that type of thing, the spiritual energy and prosperity comes out of it. There has to be an economic prosperity too. That's one of the only issues, is that taking the band to the next level where we don't have to worry about money. And then, the people can really see something from Funkadesi then.
So what do you think is next for Funkadesi? You've been around for 7 years now. You've gotten to a certain point. Where do you think you're going?
The economic, I think where we're going and what's going to help the band blow up, in a sense, is the economic prosperity. So then we can really concentrate on the music, right? And the goal in the band, like for myself, I'm into the healing drum, right? I'm interested in the healing aspects of the music, of the drum, that type of thing, the soothing aspects of it. And once that happens, you can take that out of your mind, right? And really deal with that. Because the music can actually be very healing.
How do you guys expect to get to the next step? What are your plans?
Well, I was talking with Rahul. I was talking to Rahul a couple of weeks ago about this, and it was actually I was talking to Rahul about the band at the beginning of the new year, and saying that for this new year 2004, that I want to commit myself more to the band, and hopefully that we can reach that next level and begin to prosper more, so we can create more music and just worry more, not even worry, concentrate more on the musical aspect of Funkadesi, other than the administrative and financial and all of that type of thing.
Talking about the musical aspects, how would you describe Funkadesi's music?
Okay. How can I describe this without saying?
Let's say you met somebody from out of town, Mississippi, or wherever, and you tell them you're in the band, and they say, well, what kind of music do you do?
I say, man, you know what? I said, how I would describe Funkadesi to another person if I was trying to hip them to Funkadesi being a new band or a new experience that I'm dealing with. I would say, man, I got this band that I'm working with, and these cats are from different cultures. One cat's from Puerto Rico or New York. He's a New Yorican. Another brother is from Jamaica. We have a couple of horn players. One cat's from from out east, and the other one, she's a female, she's a European, and we have this sister from India that sings, and bass player that's a doctor. This cat is a doctor, but he's from India, and I would tell them that we're playing funk, we're playing reggae, we're playing blues, we're playing all styles of musics, and we're bringing those musics together, and it actually does add up to what this brother he kind of patterned the name after a funk band called Funkadelic, but he calls the band Funkadesi, and it really is in a cultural way a mixture of a mixture of cultures. It's really still it really is Funkadesi. It really is a Funkadelic or Funkadesi or James Brown funk, or different style, type of music, but just in another type of way. It's just not black music per se.
Is anybody else doing this kind of music?
At this point, as far as someone else playing this type of music, I don't recall anyone playing this type of music. And I know that there are people out here playing this type of music, but the way we play it, the approach that Funkadesi has in our style of music, I haven't heard anyone doing it yet. I would love to hear more people doing it, because it would definitely feed into what we're doing, and it would help it blow up even more, because it's a good style of music, because it definitely is letting all the different cultures express themselves through the music.
You said a little while ago that it's not black music. Is there such a thing as black music? And what's that all about?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're asking me, is there there is a type of music that is considered black music, and if it is, what type of music is that?
Yeah.
We can start from black music, like everything from Rick James to James Brown to Parliament and Funkadelic. I keep saying Funkadesi. Parliament and Funkadelic. Black jazz groups, contemporary, like the Crusaders, that's Joe Sample, and the Crusaders with Wynton Felden. Roy Ayers, like I said earlier, with the blues, with Little Milton from the blues from Mississippi. Those are all, and I just named a couple, because there's thousands. It's black music, because it's music that stems from Africa, music that stems directly from Africa. And it's almost the same type of instruments. It's just that now the instruments are contemporary and they're electronic, but it's actually the same type of instruments.
Do you have to be black to be able to do black music?
No. No. No.
The whole sentence.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Your question, it could be a question that, do you have to be black to play black music? I say that no, you don't have to be black to play black music. You just have to love the music, and usually the spirit is going to allow you to play it. Because if you're a good musician, you can play black music. If you're a good musician, you can play black music. You can probably play any music, but in particular, if you apply it when you apply yourself, not if, when you apply yourself, because black music is so universal. It stems out of music from the universe, sounds from the universe. All you have to do is patch in and be serious and be sincere about it, and you can really do that, no matter what color you are. Racism and black people usually, for the most part, musically, spiritually, or what color-wise, whatever, are not racist. So you can fit in. All you have to do is want to be a part.
How do you describe the music scene in Chicago?
I describe the music scene in Chicago as very, for me, it's high level because on the level of reggae, blues, jazz, um, dinner music, whatever types of music, you can always find it. If it's downtown, if it's on the south side, if it's on the north side, east side, west side, if it's in the suburbs, like I said, if it's in a cocktail lounge or in a big hotel party or whatever, you're gonna find live music in Chicago. No matter how big hip hop and electronic music gets, there's always gonna be live music or just straight up music in Chicago.
What are some of your favorite places to take in music in Chicago?
Some of the favorite places, I like reggae music. So some of the favorite places that I like in Chicago to take for live music or just music and dance is like the Wild Hair down on Clark Street in Chicago, the Exodus, uh, the different festivals that happen during the summer, the African Festival of Heritage that's right down in near Hyde Park. Uh, there's different reggae festivals, and there's the Bud Billiken Parade. The list can go on and on for the different festivals, clubs. And since I've been with Funkadesi, I've actually been exposed to even more clubs, Martyrs and Double Door, Hot House, as well as a lot of other clubs in Chicago. Excuse me.
What's your favorite thing to do in Chicago? Let's say Sunday afternoon, you don't have much to do. What do you, and you say, I'm going to go out and do something. What do you do?
What's my favorite thing? My favorite thing to do on a Sunday in Chicago.
Not necessarily Sunday,
But just in Chicago.
And you're a Chicago.
You know,
what's your favorite?
I think I'm kind of hooked on my family. I don't know what happened to me, but I think I'm hooked on my family.
All right, let's talk a little bit about
sorry.
your family. Tell us about your family.
Well, starting with what you just asked about, what would I do on a day off or a Sunday or something like that. Just try to hook with my family and just do things together. Be it study music, deal with guests that we have from out of town, from like Tennessee or Alabama or something. We always have people, my wife and I, that's one thing that we're known for is always inviting guests and always having people in our humble abode here at our house. So a lot of times the creator, the God has fixed it where most of the enjoyment a lot of times comes to me here at my home, and we might all go out together, eat at a smorgasbord or something, or sit right here and watch videos of old performances or tapes or that type of thing, or just helping my son with his homework or something like that. That's a task within itself there. With him.
Tell us about your family, your wife and kids. How many kids? How old they are. So.
Well, my wife now, I have, she and I is Nigeri. Her name is Nigeri, and we have two children, Noni, who is 3, and we have Jeremiah, who is 8. My wife, she has 5 children prior to she and I, because she was married before. And myself, I have 2 prior to being with her. So all together, We have, what is that? That's 10, right? Actually, yeah, it's 10. So my wife, she's from St. Louis, originally from St. Louis. She's a she's original member of Muntu Dance Theater. So my wife is a dancer. She's an artist, dancer, instructor, um, and like I said, my son, he's grown up. He's into the art. He's a drummer. He's a musician. My daughter, my 3-year-old, they attend Betty Shabazz International Charter School, and we have a group called Minianka African Drum and Dance Ensemble. Right now, that's a big part of our lives to make this group work, because what we do is we bring stage adaptations of village life, right, when we do our presentations. And that is a big task to make all the costumes, or find out what the costumes are and purchase the costumes, or the particular drums, because the dance troupe, we do dances from West Africa in particular, right? And of course, we do some dances from East Africa, right? Or some dances from Central Africa and that type of thing. But mostly they're from West Africa: Senegal, Guinea, Mali, Ghana, Nigeria, those countries like that. And that is a task within itself, because like I said before earlier, it's a form of edutainment. So every page that we delve into, we learn something else about the culture of our people, because most slaves were brought from West Africa, countries like Senegal and Ghana and that type of thing. And so we kind of center our life around that. Besides education, God, and all the other things like that, we really center ourselves around studying and researching this information about drumming and dance, because it's attached to our how can I put it? It's attached to our lost culture, lost languages, and that type of thing, right? Even though we might study some Swahili and that type of thing from East Africa and that type of thing, at the same time we're trying to study West African languages, Wolof, Malinke, that type of thing, Mandingo, because those are the known languages of the people who came through Mississippi and Louisiana, after they took you to the islands, to Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cuba, that type of thing, and then brought you here. You were still speaking your language if you could, but those were all the languages that were taken away from us. So we really have a big interest in studying that. And that's a big part of our family life, in cooking the food, and like I said, teaching the language, teaching the customs and the culture. And I can't say that we are necessarily into farming, because we don't have a lot of land to farm on, but I'm from Mississippi. My wife is from St. Louis. My grandparents and my mother and the crew, and my grandparents, and they're sharecroppers. They come from sharecroppers. So all I ever knew coming up as a child was farming, school and farming and church. So my wife and I, we have a garden every year. We're planting greens and, tomatoes and okra and that type. There's not a lot of room back there, but we make it work, and we try to make that be a big part in our children's life, to understand it. And my grandfather in Mississippi, he's still living. He's 91. So when we do have a chance to go there, we go to Mississippi, and, I had them shelling peas and some of everything. So we try to live a cultured family life. You have all the people from different Latin countries and that type of thing, people who's Hispanic, or whatever. They know something about their culture. They know something about their language. They know something. A lot of black folks don't here. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because we still have Most people in Chicago come from Mississippi or Louisiana or Missouri or something like that. So other than our Southern culture, we don't have a lot of our African culture, which our Southern culture is directly related to the African culture. Same type of foods and a whole bit like that. The same type of talk, not the same words, but the same type of talk. So a lot of my family life is engulfed in culture, and now trying to develop some type of other customs, you know.
What kind of...
We're running at the end of the page here.
Okay. It's going pretty well.
Am I talking too much?
No.